She's already had an extra year to break that record.
If you would have told people this is where the WNBA is, 5 years ago, you would have said this is where we're going to be now. People probably wouldn't have believed you because they never thought that was possible. They never thought people would buy tickets. They never thought we'd play on ABC.
This is going to rattle some cages. The Indiana Fever almost touched the WNBA Finals in 2025, and they did it while their brightest star, Caitlin Clark, barely saw the floor. That alone should raise eyebrows. But here's the bombshell. Insiders are now screaming, "Fix your body, Caitlin, or watch your championship window slam shut." You heard me. Clark's health, her physical trust, her body's resilience, that single flaw might be the barrier between Indiana being also runners and becoming a dynasty. In this video, we're ripping into the 5 brutal truths Clark must confront. No sugarcoating, no fluff, if she doesn't want her legend to become a cautionary tale. Let's get into it.
That Clark will make it back before the regular season ends, but the Fever clearly running out of time. With that said, they're going to be in the playoffs. So, they're really taking it to the buzzer here, whether Clark can return with the regular season still in action, or if there's a possibility for her to come back for the playoffs.
Caitlin Clark's second season was supposed to be a statement that she's not a one-year wonder, that the Fever are going all in and the rest of the league better buckle up. Instead, what we saw was heartbreaking. Injuries, missed games, marginal returns, setbacks. The very thing she trains to avoid became her kryptonite. 13 games. 13. That's barely more than a third of a full WNBA campaign. And in those appearances, we watched the old Caitlin flicker. Flashes of brilliance followed by hesitation, pain, managing limitations. That's not how champions survive. Think about her style. Explosive drives, quick pivots, full court sprints, momentum shifts. Every one of those demands a body that's bulletproof. But what we witnessed was a machine that felt fragile. A superstar with idealism but compromised durability. That's terrifying in a league where fatigue, contact, and repeated strain are part of the everyday grind. If your body is going to betray you mid-season, no amount of hype or previous stats will matter. What makes this scarier? There's precedent. In modern basketball, many transcendent stars have seen their careers derailed by recurring injuries. The league is not forgiving. One season off? Maybe you bounce back. Multiple? You start losing your edge, your explosiveness, your fearlessness. For Caitlin, a second season riddled with starts and stops. That's a red warning sign. She's got to demand more from her body. Not just recovery, but reinvention. Strengthening areas that failed, rebuilding confidence in the joints, refining movement mechanics so every step, every cut, every drive is safe and sustainable. The Fever and Clark must accept that she cannot just recover, she must transform. Because in the ruthless world of elite sport, the body is either your greatest asset or your worst liability. And right now, it's leaning dangerously toward the latter. Here's a truth not many want to say out loud. The Indiana Fever nearly made the finals without Clark being present for most of the season. That fact is as much a blessing as it is a curse. On one hand, it's a testament to the depth, fight, and coaching. On the other hand, it's a glaring signal. The team's identity isn't built entirely around her. Think about it. If your team's best performance comes when your star isn't fully active, it reveals something deeper, that their structure, their supporting cast, their schemes may be stronger than assumed. It suggests that perhaps the Fever aren't fragile without Clark. Or worse, perhaps she's become too central, too reliant, too pressured to carry when the team can actually breathe and excel when she's limited. This raises dangerously controversial questions. Is Indiana better off when Clark is not forced to do 100% of the heavy lifting? Are they more balanced, more unpredictable, more fluid? Because in those stretches, with Ab and Boston and the shooters operating, they look like a team with multiple weapons. Maybe the fear of Clark's absence pushed everyone else to over-deliver. If that's true, it changes the narrative. Rather than Clark must return fully or the team dies, Indiana's challenge becomes blend Clark back in without upsetting the new chemistry that flourished in her absence. That's a delicate, high-stakes balancing act. Because if she returns and demands the offense revolve entirely around her, you risk disrupting the edge the team earned while she was out. Worse, if the team secretly began to adapt to life without her, creating confidence without depending on her, that could make Clark's path back and more contentious. Will players fight for touches? Will roles shift? Will she accept less initial rhythm? The controversy is real. The team may have found identity in her absence, and now she has to prove she enhances, not overrides, what's working. This might be the most pivotal and most underrated point in Clark's entire comeback story. Because physical healing is just the beginning. The real war is psychological. After repeated injuries, your body becomes a source of suspicion. Every step, every cut, every sprint brings a whisper. Can I really do this again? For a player like Caitlin, whose game is predicated on boldness and aggression, that whisper is dangerous. Imagine this. Caitlin wants to explode in transition, to attack the rim, to take control in clutch moments. But in her mind, she's calculating, is this safe? Did I overdo it in practice? That split-second hesitation wrecks her timing, slows her momentum, gives defenders the opening. You don't just need your body, you need it to obey instinctively. The muscle memory, the fearless decision-making, the trust, all of it must reconnect. And it won't happen overnight. She'll need incremental progression, movement drills, load testing, simulated game scenarios, but with safety nets. Every time she pushes the boundary, there's fear of relapse. She must learn again that her knees, ankles, back, and core are trustworthy. That means not just physical therapy, but mental conditioning, visualization, confidence drills, exposure training, small bursts of high-stakes decisions in safe settings to resensitize the brain-body loop to high-speed basketball. Moreover, visibility is part of the pressure. Fans see her on the court, scanning for any slight limp, any off-balance drive, any sign she's still not 100%. Social media will pounce on anything that hints she's holding back. Every misstep invites questions. Is she still elite? Did she lose her edge? That external scrutiny intensifies the internal battle. Caitlin must silence outside noise and trust her own perception. Finally, there's the fear of regression. Every successful step forward is shadowed by, what if I undo this tomorrow? That fear stifles growth. To overcome it, she must adopt a mindset. Progress is not linear. Occasional setbacks are expected, but resilience, not perfection, defines success. She must allow herself to test, waver, recalibrate, but always move forward. If she can re-establish that unfiltered trust in her body, where decision precedes hesitation, then she returns not just healthy, but unstoppable. Point 4. The team is all in. But time isn't on their side. Indiana isn't tiptoeing into this recovery cycle. They've bet the franchise's future on it. They're pouring money into infrastructure. A 108,000 square foot performance center, advanced recovery labs, partners with research institutions focusing on female athlete health. They're building not just for today, but for a legacy. But every facility, every innovation, every dollar invested only matters if Caitlin comes back strong, sooner rather than later. Here's where the tension tightens. The roster and the timeline are volatile. The core around Caitlin must remain intact. Aaliyah Boston is secured, but free agency looms for key contributors like Kelsey Mitchell and Lexi Hull. If Clark's comeback is delayed or uncertain, other teams will aggressively court her teammates. Indiana may face impossible decisions, invest more in Clark's rehab, or hold salary flexibility to retain support players. Either path brings risk. Then there's the shifting CBA and salary rules. With changing financial landscapes, luxury thresholds, and roster caps, teams might have to make cuts or prioritize differently. If Indiana overinvests early in Clark's setup, they could limit their ability to re-sign or attract complementary talent. The luxury of full flexibility might evaporate. And if the supporting cast fractures, Clark's return, even if flawless, may not be enough. Compounding that, the rest of the league is watching the Fever blueprint and adjusting. Rival teams are studying Indiana's structure, training models, recovery strategies. If Clark shows any lingering weakness, slower first step, minor avoidance of contact, questionable durability, that becomes an opening, opponents will guard her more aggressively, force her into tougher matchups, test her stamina deep in playoff games. Indiana must return with urgency, not caution. In short, Indiana's gamble is high stakes. They can't wait indefinitely for perfection. They need a high floor fast. The window is narrow, 1 or 2 seasons squandered, and entire momentum, roster cohesion, and league standing could unravel. Time is an enemy as much as the injury itself. This is the brutal truth that every athlete must internalize. The shine of your story means nothing on the scoreboard. The narratives, rookie phenom, record breaker, global sensation, get you attention. But championships? They demand consistency, toughness, and unbreakable performance when it matters most. Let's put it plainly. When the Fever, or any team, play in the playoffs, no one cares how many highlight reels Caitlin made, how many tickets she sold, or how many Instagram shares she garnered. What matters is, did she show up night after night? Did she deliver in Game 5s, Game 7s, elimination rounds? Did she lead through fatigue, injury, pressure, and physical pain? That's the test of a champion. If Clark returns but stutters in the postseason, slows down, is passive, misses key shots, backs away from contact, critics will pounce. The narrative flips instantly. Gone is the future of the league, replaced by injury-prone superstar who choked when it counted. And that brand reversal is brutal. It sticks. People will say, she never became more than hype. They'll forget the rookie season, forget the record-breaking arcs, and reduce her to a caveat. For Clark, there's zero margin for error. The recovery must lead not just to health, but to peak performance under playoff stress. Her conditioning must endure back-to-back games, travel, quick turnarounds. Her shooting, her drives, her defense, all must remain elite in the pressure cooker. Her body must not only tolerate but excel when fatigue, contact, and stakes are highest. And beyond individual performance, she must raise her team. A great champion doesn't just perform. They inspire consistency in others, absorb pressure so teammates can breathe, carry load without collapse. If she returns as a singular stat stuffer but doesn't elevate the Fever's overall identity in the postseason, the critique will be, she missed her moment. So here's the kicker. If Caitlin Clark doesn't transcend injury with dominance, if she rebounds but fades in the clutch, her legacy will tilt away from legend and toward what could have been. Only by showing up unstoppable when it matters will she silence doubts, justify investments, and carve her place in history. Because titles don't care about hype, they care about presence. And Caitlin must be present, fully, when everything is on the line.